Okay, that's recording. Hey everyone, welcome to the Secret Store CSI community call. It's Jan 21, 2021. This call is governed by the CNCF Code of Conduct and is also being recorded. I'll be moderating today. Is anyone willing to take notes for the meeting, or I can just do that?
I can help.
Thank you. Okay, jumping into the agenda, the first thing that I added was we released 0.0.19 for the driver. In terms of the changes that were introduced in that, it was mostly changes to the Helm charts. And I think one important change was we also patched the base OS image for vulnerabilities that we found. The long-term plan for that is to update the base image to a newer version when that's available. And that was released yesterday. So I have a PR to update to the latest base image, which fixes all these vulnerabilities. And also, as part of that, I'm working on adding image scanning for vulnerabilities as part of the CI. And I think the next topic was something that you added, Tom.
Hey, yeah, that's right. Thanks. Yeah, thanks for that update on the release. It's cool to hear. Yeah, so this was just something that came up on a PR internally, and yeah, I had a go at trying to make our provider run as a non-root user, but found that that wasn't possible because host paths are only writable by root users, like host path volumes, that is. And yeah, I just thought, I know in the previous call, Tommy was suggesting he might write a design document to have the driver write the secret material to the pod instead of the provider, which would eliminate one host path volume from the provider. I thought I just kind of gauge interest in whether this is a problem that we're interested in solving or motivated to solve, and any kind of ideas on yeah, how we might go about it, because yeah, it feels like it's something that yeah, it's obviously a best practice to run containers as non-root users, but at the same time, we won't be able to eliminate the driver being able to having to run as a root user. But it does provide a nice kind of separation of concerns between the driver and the provider, where the driver is the kube admin and does kind of kube admin stuff, and the provider handles the auth with the secrets provider. So, so yeah, I just kind of wanted to throw it out there and see if you had any thoughts on it.
Yeah, I actually briefly looked at the Slack conversation. I think one of the ideas there was sidecar approach. And
yes.
Yeah, I think so. Initially, when we were designing this, I think we also thought about doing the provider as a sidecar to the driver, right? But I think some of the cons with that approach was, one, if you wanted to deploy another provider, that would mean you need to restart the driver pod on every node because the driver has to be a sidecar in that pod, right? So that was one concern. But even in terms of setting the gRPC socket, for the host path, do we actually need root privileges for just the host path?
So, because it creates essentially a file to listen on the host path, that's kind of considered needing write privileges. So that's the current right. So if you try to run the provider as non-root, you just get a kind of fail to open socket message because you can't write to that volume. Does that make sense, or have I fumbled that a bit?
No, I think it does. Actually, I thought non-root user would work for host path, and then the only thing that we would really need was to constrict using pod security policies or other policies, right? So in PSPs, you can say that restrict only access to host path for this particular pod, and then I thought only that would be enough, and I once Tommy's changes go in, we would not require root privileges.
I guess if you configure access to the path that the socket will be created in from the host side, like from the node side, then that would work. I guess I didn't really think of that as being a possibility. Is that what you're suggesting with the pod security policies?
So with the pod security policies, we can associate the service account that the provider is using, and then we can only provide privileges for just host path and nothing else. So we can make sure that the pod only has access to what it needs and nothing more. And once Tommy's changes are there, then I think the pod doesn't even have a need write access or anything, right? Because the driver is the one that's going to get the payload and write the contents to the pod mount.
Okay, yeah, that actually sounds quite good. I'll have a look into whether that will work. Because I was trying to use FS group options for the pod, and that was what I kind of found didn't support host path volumes. But yeah, I'll see if I can do it with pod security policies and report back.
Okay. And I think we should, as a follow-up, we should also open an issue on GitHub so that we can continue the conversation there and see what is the final decision that we want to make.
Yeah, sounds good. Will do. Thanks.
Yeah, I was also going to ask, like, sounds like Tommy wanted to create like a design doc for us to review, right? At least I think from last call.
Yeah.
That would be useful to be linked within that particular issue.
Yeah.
So we can discuss all the pros and cons of each approach.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Thank you, Tom.
Cool, thanks.
And then the third one that I added was a very short one. Basically, Rita shared this security audit meeting that was going on as part of SIG Security yesterday. So I was able to hop on the call, and I talked a little bit about the secret store CSI driver with them. And then I requested them to add this to their scope for audit this year. So they gladly accepted it, and now it's part of their scope for the RFP for third-party audit. So now the team's actually working on the RFP, and then they're going to choose a vendor. And when they do the audit, the secret store CSI driver is going to be a part of it. So we'll be able to run audit and test to make sure that the solution is safe. And I've also added the meeting notes there if anyone's interested in joining. It's a bi-weekly call. They recommended that I join the call bi-weekly if they had any questions about the project. If anyone else is also interested, they can join the call. Okay. And I think one more thing was I opened an issue yesterday for the vault provider. I think the vault provider released 0.0.7 with the gRPC changes. So we also need to update the tests, but I just saw that Tom has a PR for it.
Yeah, that's right. And it's on my to-do list to kind of change the way that those tests work so that I can kind of control better when the tests actually get updated. Because the fact that it kind of applies from master just makes it a bit awkward to do releases without breaking the tests. But hopefully that PR should the test should pass once it gets okayed.
Good. Actually, sorry, go ahead, Rita.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I was thinking like the change that we want to make to make the driver write the content instead of the providers. We should really try to get that in before the security audit, just because it's a big change. And I want to make sure whatever gets audited is more closer to what people end up running.
Yeah, for sure. I think Tommy was looking at it for the next milestone. He said he'll try the design doc for the next one. But hopefully we will have it before the audit.
Okay, let's follow up with him on Slack, I guess.
Yeah. for sure.
Yeah, agreed on that. What's the kind of rough time scale for when the security audit might start taking place? Do we have any ideas on that?
Not yet. So they said they're going to finish and submit the RFP, and after that they have to choose a vendor. So I think it's probably going to be another month before they actually begin the audit. So I'm guessing probably first week of March, but I'll check with them and on a concrete timeline to see what they have.
Cool. Yeah, sounds like got in quite a good point in the process.
Right. I think that's it for the agenda items. We don't have anything else. I'm working on the production readiness questionnaire. So I'll open a PR for that for review, and I'll post it on Slack so everyone can get a chance to review it before we merge.
Great. Do you have any updates for other providers out there that you're working with?
Yeah, actually, someone from AWS reached out to us on Slack. So they were initially in the design phase for adding a new provider for the driver, and now they've completed the design phase and they've started the implementation work. So they've been going through a repo and docs on how to add a new provider, and they've started working on that. So they'll be reaching out more on Slack when they have questions, because all providers on that Slack, it'll be great if we can help them out and then help them have a new provider set up and done. But this is really awesome to see more providers onboarding with the CSI driver.
Awesome.
Okay, I think that's it. If no one else, anything else, then I think we all get about 40 minutes back.
Yay.
Nothing from me, thanks.
All right, thanks for catching up. All right.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Cheers, bye.
Bye.